Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sweaty Casuals, brought to you by the Snowflake Sanctuary Discord server. This is a podcast where we usually talk about the A to Z of the games that we love to play, from the state of rank systems to our thoughts on the newest sensations and everything in between. My name is Nox, and along with my co-host Zach, we will be your guides as we traverse Elo Hell. As a small reminder, we do swear, so viewer discretion is advised. Today we are joined by LordBandito, who doesn't own any land, and therefore we give him no title.
That you can prove.
And InvaderCaramel, who usually doesn't invade as far as we know, so we usually just call her Caramel.
As far as you know.
They have both been avid consumers of gaming media, and in particular of the biggest gaming creators in the news recently, RoosterTeeth and Game Theory. We've graciously asked them to join us as we discuss the future of gaming media on YouTube. So our icebreaker question for the night is, what is a moment or two from these creators that you will never forget? Bandito, do you want to kick us off?
It's hard to pick just one. Because for me, it was MatPat, Game Theory, all of them. That was my shtick. But, arguing with my TV over his FNAF theories were pretty phenomenal. Because there were a lot of things that I absolutely agreed with that sounded 100% right. And then he kept talking. And he kept adding stuff that didn't quite fit just right. That he clarified in the next video didn't fit just right, but he still said it, which
it's a game theory, okay?
You learn to live with
It's just a theory.
But that just being able to watch those videos and feel like it's a conversation was pretty delightful.
What about you, Zach?
Me? Oh gosh. I didn't do a lot of game theory, but I was a big Rooster Teeth fan. I started watching them before YouTube existed. So I think one of my earlier memories with them was when RVB was coming out, and Red vs. Blue, for anybody who is unaware, one of the earlier machinimas. And my friend is pulling it up, and we watch it on Rooster Teeth's website because that was the only place you could go to get it. And they had a whole social thing on there. And one day he was just like, "Oh yeah, I'm friends with this guy who's plays church in the show," which for anybody familiar with that's Bernie. So that was a pretty interesting moment. But I ended up doing a lot of Achievement Hunter. I've watched more Achievement Hunter in my life than anyone probably should. I still say there's no brakes on the fuck train. Thank you, Ray.
Whistle goes woo. The amount of Ray-isms we're gonna have in this is gonna be a lot.
Yeah.
What about you, Caramel?
Kind of same with Zach. I was way big into Rooster Teeth, specifically Achievement Hunter. I didn't watch it when it wasn't on YouTube. I mainly watched it on YouTube. I did have a first membership. I did go on the website. It's not like I didn't know it existed, but YouTube was my home. That was my home page. That was literally when I woke up in the morning. Before school, I'd pop up YouTube and it'd probably be Achievement Hunter Let's Play or something. Especially all the Minecraft Let's Plays. That was my jam. So the only memory I could think of is Gavin creating the Tower of Pimps, which is literally in Minecraft. The Tower of Pimps is 1 obsidian block and 4 gold blocks on top. That is the Tower of Pimps, and they fought over it. That was the whole point of the Minecraft Let's Plays, was whoever won the challenge or the game got the Tower of Pimps in front of their house in Minecraft.
I love that.
They also had a little miniature one.
They did have a little mini one that they'd move around on their desk, so there'd always be an end segment where they'd take the camera and be like, "Yep, and we're moving it."
The arguing and the yelling and the throwing of all the things in that office. I'm kind of glad when they finally did move, because that office was just getting too small.
We'll talk about shenanigans later.
Oh yeah. I know for myself, I didn't know Rooster Teeth nor really watch them as they were popular. And MatPat, in my experience, really, FNAF is my only experience with MatPat, but I know just gaming creators in general. They are a big reason I got into gaming. I was watching Let's Plays and like Jacksepticeye and PewDiePie and Markiplier playing through things like FNAF, Overwatch, any of the horror games. I can vividly remember
Amnesia.
Jacksepticeye playing Cuphead and doing all the voices. And a lot of this and watching them play things like The Last of Us and Overwatch were what brought me to buying my first PlayStation. So while I have more of a wide range of gaming creators throughout my years, since about 2014 is when I was watching them as I went to bed or existed in everyday life. But there are a lot to thank for why I have the interests and the hobbies that I do today.
Mm.
Well, you want to get into it?
Let's do it.
So, for everybody who's completely and totally unaware, Bandito's going to help me out here because I am not super familiar with MatPat, but I did try and at least go get a rudimentary education. He uploaded his first video on YouTube in April of 2011. And he saw massive success with that, and he ultimately spun that off into a bunch of sisters channels. So he did GT Live for his dedicated Let's Plays in 2015. Started Film Theory to focus on film and television. Food Theorist to focus on food.
There's another Style Theory is relatively new.
Okay.
It was to complete his icon. If you notice, each of them has their own corner of what he considers to be his life. Each channel represents a corner of him.
And both Bandito and Nox, do you guys have anything to add about his particular content or what made it special?
Nox, you can go first, because I'll talk forever.
I think for MatPat, it was just how around he was. Like, you really couldn't exist in the gaming verse without knowing who he was at least, or seeing his videos somewhere along the way. But just the amount of sway and the amount of he drove FNAF theory forever. People believed what MatPat said, whether and going back and looking at some of MatPat's original videos, it wasn't the real lore that came out by the end of it. But for a long time, his content was really the influence on what drove the theory. And I know even in his last video, he had the creator of FNAF with him, and just the full circle thing there was really cool. But yeah, I mean, I just remember that as someone who didn't really watch his stuff religiously, just knowing who he was without even knowing his content or necessarily what his videos were.
Yeah, I didn't do that. I watched him religiously.
As you should.
It was good. I am in the minority. When I started out, when MatPat had acquired a few other channels to let creators have a small voice doing their own segments, for me, it was the science. I fucking love him. Hold on, look, I need to find his name. It's one of the side characters, Austin Hourgan. He did his own side channel on game theory or film theory, where he went in depth to the science of whatever he was talking about. One of the ones that I specifically remember is explaining that Minecraft isn't flat and how the portal gun would actually work. Those were just phenomenal episodes. They were filled with personality. It had a lot of time and attention put into it. You can tell that they were passionate about the games that they were talking about. It felt important, even though it was Minecraft and how the world's not flat. Nobody really gives a shit about that. But because they spoke with such care, it made it important. And I think that goes for damn near all of their episodes, save for a few vulgar ones revealing Luigi's size.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, it did happen.
Lord. I forgot about that.
I was like 13, picking apart metaphors of what he was talking about. And it was only until like the halfway mark that I was like, oh, that's what he's talking about. Oh. Going back, it's a fucking hilarious episode. But
oh, Lord, he packing.
Was he though? I don't remember.
I think he was. It was not a small number.
Bandito, you don't need to compare.
Third leg much.
As
Oh,
for
God.
as for Rooster Teeth, Rooster Teeth came out in 2003. It was originally created by Bernie Burns, Matt Hullum, Jeff Ramsey, Jason Saldana, Gus Arola, and Joel Heyman when they decided to make a website about reviewing video games while they were drunk. And it was called, yep. And
Sorry.
as it turns out, if you have the word drunk in the name of your company, it's not exactly very advertiser friendly. So they later decided to rename it after they had started creating Red versus Blue and had a lot of popularity with that to Rooster Teeth, which is a metaphor. It's a rephrasing of the slur cockbite that they use a lot in RDP. Red versus Blue was a machinima. It was all created in Halo CE originally, and then they started moving through, but it became so big that they actually started to work with Bungie and then later 343 to continue to create that. They even got assets from them so they could do animations with Monty, who I'm not super familiar with Monty's work, but I know Caramel watched Ruby, or at least some of it.
Yeah. Watched Ruby and his scenes in RVB that he assisted with.
Which Ruby has gotten a ton of acclaim. It's gotten acclaim even from corners of the world that are not very welcoming to Western animation. The other really big thing, though, would probably be to mention Achievement Hunter, which was Jeff Ramsey's original goal with that was to create a website for people to look up ways to get achievements in video games. And it started with him kind of doing competitions in the office to try and see who could get the most and get gamer score that way. But originally it was started at that website and then tutorials, but they ended up turning it into a Let's Play channel, and it really took off with that and saw a lot of success in the early to mid 2010s. And it focused mostly around their main 6 characters, but later on they had a huge cast. I mean, there was probably a dozen rotating at one point.
I was gonna say like 10 to 12, something like that. They had
Yeah.
they grew quickly.
Well, the reason we're going to talk about them in particular today, MatPat's last official video released. It was last week for us?
Give or take, yeah.
Give or take. I did find some information saying he still will appear in some videos through
He's
the middle of
doing
the year.
GT Live. At the very least, he is still going to be the main guy on that. Supposedly, he's setting up a website where he can basically update it ever so often with big projects he's doing, works he's going to go through, anything that he's bolstering behind. He's going to post on that website.
But no longer on Game Theory.
No. He might be a reoccurring character, but he is not the host. He has given up that title.
And then Rooster Teeth, who has been bought and then bought again, is now owned by Warner Discovery, and they announced earlier this week that they're going to be shutting down. Completely kaput. I forget how many. It's like 150 jobs that are going to be lost. 200 jobs.
Oh yeah, something like that. It was
a fair number.
Well over 100.
There will still be some content over the next couple months, but as far as new productions, they're done.
Oh, their podcast network is still going to continue as well.
Oh, so they're going to still. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't
their
know.
podcast network is still going to be fine.
Interesting.
I remember hearing that.
So let's just take a quick second and just ask the question: what's changed over the last few years?
So that's a good question because, like, I mean, every YouTube channel that has that kind of vibe, that kind of subject matter, they always go through changes because just like in video games, just like the media, everything keeps changing. So they have to kind of keep up to adapt. And I don't think any of the changes that I can think off the top of my head would be like big ones. Like I know they moved a few times, they moved buildings, which was a good thing, honestly, because they got more room. They had a whole studio near the end of it. And then just the kind of content that they were promoting, which I loved. I loved their animations. Not even just like Ruby and RVB, but I watched like Camp. That was funny. If you've ever watched Camp, it's literally just kids at a summer camp, and they're what's the person that's usually in charge? Camp counselor is super happy and bubbly, doesn't realize these kids are way more aggressive and ready to go than he is. That's like the general vibe of it. But I loved a lot of the changes that they had done, like in the middle. But there was a moment where I remember falling off. I remember not watching it as often, and now I think about it, I don't know what changed that made me just stop watching it altogether.
I mean, I think like any TV show or movie series, there becomes a point where it kind of the fan base dies. There's a bit of fatigue. I think that comes with anything in that. Sorry, Zach is frozen.
Zach is frozen for me, and he's sipping on
Taking
his.
a real long drink out of that
Yeah.
Baja Blast.
I
But yeah,
couldn't
none of the
focus.
liquid's gone.
Sorry about that, everyone. My internet decided to cut out. Knox, go right ahead.
Yeah, so we were kind of talking about what has changed and why maybe these companies leave and dissolve. And I think part of it comes with an amount of fatigue in that we're seeing it in popular culture even right now with Star Wars and Marvel. Those movies and properties aren't doing as well because we're so bombarded by their content that we get tired of it. And I think like anything else, TV shows end, movie series end. There is a start and a finish to things, and with online content, there really is no finish. I think about Jenna Marbles and how she was going strong for so long and then left the internet, and I was devastated, but it came to an end, and that was okay because some of that content wasn't going to last forever. So I think just the natural thing of online content and media is that there is a start and a finish. And MatPat can't be doing this until he's 50. He could, but for him specifically as one person too, like that has a beginning and an end. Whereas a company like Rooster Teeth seemed to have a more rotating cast, so they could have kept going with it. But this is just the natural life cycle of media, I think.
I agree. It's something that I think doesn't get talked about enough, but like you're saying, there's like a natural end to things. Some people like to continue pushing it though, past where maybe it should have ended. It's something I feel we should normalize is like ending one thing so we can start something new. That may be why I kind of dropped off the face of the earth on that for a bit. Because it was just a lot of what felt like the same. I know it's different. They always add something different to the same show, but it's still the same show. Like you said,
So
go ahead.
yeah, branching out on that, I think it's because MatPat won. Matthew Patrick is retiring at 37 years old.
Which must be a real
only
nice feeling.
37, and he's retiring. That is the dream. That is what people live for. He doesn't have to work until he's 60. He got what he wanted to do. This is 12 long years of ranting in a corner, talking about the things he loves the most with a large group of people who also love those things and wants to rant about it. He won. He started out with just one channel. Now he has his own backing business. He has 4 other subsection channels. He won. He got what he needed. He had his fun.
Like
he won.
Like there was a competition in there.
There was.
He won.
So I went and looked because I was curious. And if you go through the list of the biggest YouTubers in the gaming space on YouTube right now, and also just generally, 3 of the big ones on there are PewDiePie, Mr. Beast, Markiplier. I could have picked anyone on that list, but I did pick those 3 in particular because those 3 are changing the way that they do things in some way, shape, or form. Markiplier isn't really doing that much gaming content, as far as I'm aware.
Uncompared.
He's working and moving more towards doing short films and things of that nature. He wants to be more of a director.
I still remember when he did Who Killed Markiplier. That was a huge shift and so cool. That was the first time I watched a creator that I love branch out and do something new and be incredibly successful in it. It was really cool to watch.
I love the heist and In Space with Markiplier.
Yep.
Both of those.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored, but they're ingrained in my brain. I remember the paths I took. I could probably go back and start a new fresh path if I wanted to. They're so good. They were different. Like it was like Goosebumps Choose Your Own Adventures. When I used to read it's not Goosebumps, but I remember reading Goosebumps. I got bored. I went to Goosebumps Read Your Own Adventures, and that was just as fun. So it's kind of like that vibe of just trying something different. It works.
On the flip side, you've got Mr. Beast, who like he still does YouTube content, but it's become more philanthropic as time has gone on.
He's making
And
too much money. He's
making too much money, but he's also like he's expanding his brand. Like, look at Beast Burger. Like, I don't know if
Beast
the
Burger is
commercials
good.
this or not.
Never had it.
I've never had it either. I'm like, is it actually good?
But we all know it exists.
So
which
fun
means
fact,
he's immediately got a market for it.
Beast Burger is a ghost restaurant. They don't ever exist. They're in other kitchens. In Wisconsin, they run through Red Robin. It's great.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sounds
Okay.
about right.
Yum. But the point being that like he's taken what he had on YouTube and he's moved it into other businesses that are completely off platform.
Mhm.
And then you've got PewDiePie who just like randomly pops up on the platform, becomes the biggest creator, and then disappears again.
He's got a
Oh, no,
kid
true.
now.
Yeah, that man
Does he?
works in mysterious
And he
ways.
lives in Japan. He's living his
Yep.
life.
He's doing great, but like he doesn't do this thing where he's constantly uploading content every day.
He doesn't have to.
No.
He won. He left.
He won
left.
YouTube.
Yeah, he left at a perfect time. He got what he wanted. He made the highest, the highest subscriber count channel for a long time. It was just PewDiePie. Only relatively recently did it switch to a few others, but
yeah,
it's been him for a long fucking time.
And that's not to mention the fact that he deleted it a while back ago and just started from zero.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And
he
still
too
worked it right back up.
He too had one of the most, I would say, graceful rises from his falls, because I know he had a few run-ins with some problems
Bridges?
that he made online. He maybe said some things he shouldn't have, and we're not here to excuse that. But in his content later on, he still always references it and makes sure that he is aware of the impact he's having and the impact that others are having. I thought he had one of the best comebacks.
Not ignoring it. He's not saying I was perfect.
Oh my god, he did a series where he rated YouTuber apology videos. He was very self-aware, and he would rank his own in it. He knew. And I thought that that was something really real. I think the best creators that are still making videos now are the ones that feel real.
That's a great point to make.
That is a great point to make. I mean, I can't speak for MatPat. We've already said that, but Caramel, I think we can agree that like the original Achievement Hunter videos, they were really real. They were really raw.
Oh, they didn't cut much. They really didn't. They let it kind of.
No.
I mean, when they first I think started, it was obviously a little rough. They didn't know what they were doing. They had just.
I mean, there are half of the
Gavin and
episodes that are bleep.
Michael, but like once they got Ray in and they got like the main three, and then Jeff and Jack, they just ran, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful run. It wasn't just the Minecraft videos. Like what is game nights? They had Caleb, they had Carrie. It became like they had a thing going, and they had a good thing going, and it felt like they were, still able to. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm blanking for a minute. They're still able to change it up and continue that like.
They kept
again,
evolving.
Evolving, yeah, but they were still keeping to themselves. They weren't necessarily making content for XYZ. It felt like they were making content for themselves, making themselves laugh, and that's ultimately what I loved about it.
So, do we think this is probably going to be the end of like the original gaming creators?
The end is a strong word. Like the end is a strong phrase. Nothing
the
really.
environment has changed.
Yeah. It's a change, not an end. So it'll definitely change. So I guess that generation or that era will end.
He's slowly closing.
It's closing, but it just means that we're gonna have a new era coming with hopefully newer or cooler things.
A big thing is that game theory isn't gonna go away.
It's a
film
new era.
theory style, film theory, they're all still going to be here. MatPat's time is done. He's passing on the torch to someone else. It's going to be a next group because they needed multiple people to fill his shoes. It should say a lot.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Interesting question then. As an avid consumer of them, are you going to keep watching Game Theory?
Okay. So, I'm very big on game theory. I enjoy film theory. I did not watch the other two. I've heard good things. It was just never like something I fell into. I'm going to keep definitely watching game theory because I think at this point I have to. I'm legally obligated. However, at the same time, I think I'm going to start watching more GT Live because MatPat's still going to be a part of it. And that's going to hurt the good way. And I think
What about
I'll
you,
do that
Nox?
for a little bit.
I mean, as someone who hadn't been keeping up with him recently, I don't know if I go back to it, especially knowing that he's not there. I don't know. Maybe I'll tune into some GT Lives if they're playing something that want to watch. I know my gaming consumption has always been driven by the games that I'm playing. Especially since I've been able to buy the games. When I wasn't able to buy games and I was just watching gaming content, then I would stray out a little bit further to see things. But now I recently just started watching Flats and Emong and J3 a lot more avidly again because I've been playing Overwatch. But there was a time where I didn't watch them for months. So it's always driven by what I'm doing. And so, I mean, if MatPat's company or MatPat himself is playing a game that I'm interested in, I'll probably tune in. But yeah.
Caramel, was there any cast members' departure on Rooster Teeth who caused you to stop going to their content?
A big one was Ray. I think that was a really big one that I think a lot of us felt heartbroken over. And I watched the streams afterward. He did really well. I loved
He's
when
still
he
doing
got
well.
Yeah, 100%. My favorite part was when he did Yu-Gi-Oh! And he got the same, like, I don't know Yu-Gi-Oh! But it was the same, like, 10-second game. They get Exodia the Forbidden, and he loses the game. Just like Michael did, like, a year prior. So I watched that. I remember that happening. I'm like, this is why I still come back. You know, like, so it hurt me when or I don't think it hurt me, but I felt it when he left. I still kept trying. There's a certain, like, you know, even though someone leaves, is the channel, you know, doomed? I don't think that was the case, but there was definitely felt like something was missing. So it definitely makes you want to kind of like maybe take a break, come back, and I think that's what I did. I ended up watching other like channels for a while and came back and see where they were at. Sometimes it's okay to take that break.
I mean, you can see that in all stretches of YouTube and other media. I mean, people leaving and their fan base dwindling because of it. I still remember when Ned left the Try Guys or was kicked out of the Try Guys.
He was fired.
Kicked out. Which was rightfully so. Man fucked up.
Yeah.
Man did not make good choices.
100%.
And man fucked up.
All my homies hate
But even as someone who was able to step back and go, that was awful, what the hell? Their content felt different. Eugene was off doing his own thing. It's really just been Keith and Zach for a while now. The podcast feels empty. Didn't Miles just leave too?
Miles left, but now he's considered an independent contractor. He still absolutely shows up.
Love.
Whenever
Great.
he wants. He has no ill will towards Try Guys. He still
A perfect example about how people fell off.
But still wanted to hang out. Like, he just became more independent. He has his own podcast, but he's still while he doesn't necessarily work directly for Try Guys anymore, he'll still absolutely show up to podcasts, or if they ask him to be in a video, he's now considered a guest, you know? Dynamics might change, but they ultimately know what they want to do and who they want to keep around them. Because especially now when a big major cast member of anything leaves, they have to fill that kind of void that is left behind. So there's different ways of doing it, and I felt the way they were doing it was actually pretty good. They were putting in they weren't just putting in with one person or like trying to pretend that void is not there. They just filled it with different people, seeing what people liked. Johnny Cakes, Quasi. I love Quasi. Quasi holds a very special place in my heart. So
and they're handling it, but it happens in all of their media. Another example, TV shows. Have you ever seen How to Get Away with Murder? Don't. It's not worth it. Not worth your time. The first season is really good. Don't watch past it. My favorite cast member got killed. I stopped watching the show. Like
know that
people like when people leave things, that's the reason that you're there. That's what makes them feel real. You can leave too. It's hard. And I think that's something that I think MatPat's companies are gonna see a dip because he's not there.
Mhm.
But I think it's
100%.
something they may also be being able to foretell beforehand. They
Mhm.
may already have strategies, just taking like a page out of maybe the Try Guys or other companies that have done something similar. They'll just be able to improve and maybe even skip there'll still be a dip, I think, no matter what, but it may not be as bad as people think it will be, just because one person is taking a step back.
So I know that you have watched a fair amount of Linus Tech Tips at one point. But he's one of those creators where you can see, especially as time has gone on, they've really tried to push other hosts to the forefront because he doesn't want to see that company fail. He wants to see a future where he can leave and the company will do great. Which they've got their own scandals at this point, but that's a whole separate story.
Yeah.
Ooh, is
We
that
should
the
touch
next
on
one?
that though, because I mean, yeah, Rooster Teeth had we're gonna say a fair number. There was a prominent cast member who got I think he technically resigned, but if he didn't, he would have been fired.
I think
He
he
was
might have been
probably
asked
asked
resign.
to.
Yeah, I think
Probably.
that's what ultimately happened. That from
Um,
them, and then the partner company also they had with Funhouse. That was a whole thing too.
That was another one. Yep, they had one of their cast members go, and then one of their original founding members was fired. Yeah, they had a rough run of it for a couple of years, and I think that was probably the thing that really.
Now that you say it like that, that might have been why I took a break. Because even though, like, if a cast member leaves, like, as also like the example of, like, the Try Guys, cast member leaves, yeah, you can absolutely agree why they should have left, but in a really odd way, you kind of miss them because you remember all the old videos that they were in. You remember you laughed at some of their jokes. Is it bad now? Not necessarily, unless the joke's bad, but it's not necessarily a bad
I
thing
know
to
in
look
Achievement
back and
Hunter's
go ahead.
in Achievement Hunter's case, they actually did have to go back and they went and removed a bunch of videos.
Yeah, that's
Nostalgia's
true.
a cruel mistress.
Not thankfully, not everyone had to be censored or taken down. But again, it's just that like you said, nostalgia knocks. It's there, and it hurts when you realize that there's now a big change, and it hurts, but
We're human.
you have to
We
let
like to focus on what was good in our lives, and we don't like change.
No.
Well, especially
In
when you
general.
look at, there's some mediums, podcast being one of them, Let's Plays being another, where your back catalog is what makes you. It's the fact that if
Mhm.
somebody finds you and says, "Oh, I like this," they have a wealth of content that they can enjoy.
They can keep watching.
And if you suddenly poison all that, then how many old Try Guy videos are people really itching to go watch at this point?
It's a very good point. I think, and it's something that I think Keith from the Try Guys touched on, is like, it's okay to not go watch them. Some of them used to be my comfort videos. I specifically loved a lot of the trivia ones that they had. Brutal trivia, I think. It's hard to go watch them, but if after time, if you decide that wound, because in that case, like, something's ripped out of your ecosystem of what is your normal, there's definitely a healing period. If you want to go back and watch them, there should be no guilt associated with that. It's okay
it's
to
not
go
even
back.
No,
touch on
absolutely not.
parasocial relationships. You feel like you lost a friend.
Yeah,
Oh
do.
my god.
absolutely.
MatPat leaving will hurt a lot of people. That is
The
people's
reason they
friend.
leave is a huge,
Tried
huge part too.
Yeah.
a few times.
Yeah. And that's normal. We all have done it in this age of technology. We have a parasocial relationship. If I saw Flats on the street, I'd probably go up and talk to him like I knew him. And he would be so taken aback because what the hell is that? He has no fucking clue who I am.
And I actually have a chance to do it, so.
Huh?
He lives around here.
He does.
Yeah.
Oh my god. He doesn't go outside though. Sorry, Flats.
No.
All the love.
Okay, neither do I.
Yeah,
Glad you touch on that though. If you go look on YouTube gaming, even what we've just discussed today, so much of it now is not pre-recorded content. It's stuff from Twitch.
Oh my god, yeah. When you can co-stream now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's huge.
Back in the day, if you wanted to go be the first to see something, it came out on YouTube. You couldn't watch it live. Or if you did watch it live, it was, Rooster Teeth first or something like that.
Yeah.
It was this very exclusive group before the wider world could enjoy it. Now anybody can just go tune into a stream. Is that going to be the future of YouTube gaming?
Yes.
I expect it to be.
I don't think so. I'm actually on the opposite end. Not to say like Twitch is bad or anything. It's a great platform, but have we seen that it can last as long as YouTube? Even though I'm surprised YouTube has lasted as long as it has, it's still a very big platform that hasn't gone anywhere. And it does also do its own live streams. But the thing with live streams is not all of it can get captured, not all of it gets saved. It sometimes gets edited and released differently. And then I totally understand wanting to watch it live. But then if there's people who just post it later and you want to watch the whole thing later, you should be able to. Because not everyone is able to watch live streams all hours of the day. Because they do it at different times. Usually it's like around like the time people get off work, but it's not always a guarantee everyone's gonna watch it. The views usually do come from the videos that are standing alone, I would think. Unless you do like an 8-hour stream, which you know people do.
I think Twitch is going to continue to influence what's going on YouTube. Because
Yep.
if you've watched a Flats or an Emong or a J3 video in the last year of your life, every time they open a video, they're talking to their chat. The chat is up on the side of the screen. Like they are just taking recordings from, they have an editor. They hire editors and they send over VODs. And then their editors go through their VODs and clip out 3 videos from each one of them. And they can release every single day without doing anything on top of their streaming things. Now, I think there's things like game theory that have an ebb and a flow and an editing style that will never be live. I think they can be, but a lot of that is polished. A lot of that is more video essay-esque in content. That stuff on gaming is going to stay on YouTube. There's no place for that in a live streaming sphere as far as I'm aware or what I've seen.
YouTube premieres do exist.
And YouTube premieres do exist.
Which is a more live-esque format.
It does.
Even when we upload this,
it's weird.
Yeah, so we don't do that.
I know
because
Twitch.
It's just not worth it to us at this point. But it has been something where, there may be a point where it might be worthwhile.
Hopefully. Like and subscribe, by the way. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
Scribbly-dibbly-doo.
If we were to talk about it right now, we do a pre-recorded podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see a future where we're necessarily going to go live just because we have too many incidents, especially as of late.
Oh, Lord. 5 bleeps last episode. I hold the record now. I love you, SJM. I said nothing bad.
I got yelled at for spoiling stuff.
Yours was less bad.
I should have known. I'm sorry.
I'm the only professional here, I swear.
Well, that I don't think we'll ever record live because of schedules. Good God.
100%.
Yeah,
we would
that's a
never
get
get
thing
there.
as well.
That's the other fun thing. A lot of these podcasts, like I think the WAN show, they're in the same room and work for the same company, and this is on their docket every single week.
And they're always late somehow.
Yeah, and we are 2 plus 2 to the nth power of people talking about gaming at 10 p.m. on a Wednesday night. It's Thursday night. Oh my
Thursday night.
Who knows
It's
what
like
day it is at this point?
Scheduling our group to do a live podcast would be like scheduling a D&D group. It wouldn't happen.
It never ends well.
Our honor run, Baldur's Gate. Hey, are you available Wednesday? Yes, but I don't want to do it. That's fine too.
We will have a whole conversation about the podcast at some point. But anyway, let's recenter.
MatPat.
MatPat.
Please.
MatPat is probably safe because it is more just a video essay format. It's not live stream friendly.
Although he does
Well,
have his
GT
own
Live
that's
is.
relatively
GT
successful.
Live is.
GT Live is.
Yeah.
Which that's also, I think, why I've kind of stayed away from it. I only go in and watch if it's like a game that I'll actively enjoy watching. Most of the time, I prefer his regular content. The live is okay. It's just I don't think it fits him as much as the edited format does.
I have a controversial opinion.
Oh,
I don't
get
like-
laid on
Be
me.
very careful.
I don't like watching MatPat play video games. He's bad at video games.
I mean, so are we, but that's a whole separate thing.
No, but not like that.
He's pretty bad at them.
I've seen it and I went, no, I'm sorry, Matt, you're frustrating the hell out of me. I gotta click out. I'll watch one of your other videos.
I mean, that was always part of the fun of watching people like Flats and Emong and ML7 is that they're top 500 players.
they're
You're
good.
watching.
They're
You're watching
good.
good players play the game.
Which, like, when we look at RoosterTeeth or Achievement Hunter's roster, like, everybody kind of had their game that they were pretty good at, but
That's it.
none of them
No.
were really that amazing.
Ray had like
Ray was actually good.
Ray was actually good. He had like a bajillion gamer score compared to everyone else's.
But I think
yeah.
if you
The
have that
two-digit lead.
personality, it doesn't matter if you're good at the games. Oh my god. Do you want to know who's not good at games and has an empire? Jacksepticeye. Bad
He's
at
so
video
bad.
games.
He's actually, yeah, he can be pretty bad.
Top tier personality though.
Absolutely.
You watched him because he was bad. Same thing. I've talked about him before. Ragtag. Ragtag is an Apex YouTuber. He is branded himself the gutter tier gamer. He knows he's bad, but that's what's fun because he's a personality.
Stealing our branding.
I mean,
He did it first. He did it first like 5 years ago. Please.
I mean, that's in Achievement Hunter. That's pretty much all Rage Quit was. It was being bad at a video game and getting mad at it. I loved Michael Jones as in all the Rage Quit videos. He was just playing the game badly, but he would ultimately get so mad at it.
If anybody has never seen a Rage Quit video, go back and watch a few of them. Because
Possible Game is
they're
great.
amazing. Possible Game is a classic.
Classic. Just classic New Jersey accent yelling at the video game.
And I know
Great.
I'm harping on Flats a lot, but he's probably my favorite content creator.
Oh, go on.
Remember, like, if people don't know, Flats was not as big of a streamer as Emong, as J3, as ML7, as all of those creators. Flats somehow ended up in being friends with Emong, tank duoing. Part of the reason I think he has become one, if not the most prominent voice of Overwatch creators, is because he's not only good at the game, but he is that personality. Like, he's somebody that I can watch. ML7, love him to death. His live streams get to be a lot because he's not as entertaining of a personality, in my opinion. But Flats hits you with the hot takes, and he tells you how it is, or at least how he sees it, which is entertaining for people.
Definitely.
So that's why I think him, specifically, he's still not the top viewed streamer, but part of the reason he has as much success and much voice as he does is because of his personality to back up. He has both worlds, where not everybody does.
Hot take. Buff Ryan, nerf Zenyatta.
That's not a hot take. Please. I want to see that
Ryan
man
nerfs
happy
Zenyatta.
for one. I have not known that man where he hasn't been parading around saying Overwatch is dying. I need him happy for a quick
This is
second,
right.
please.
Zero.
Well, we've seen a resurgence, but anyway.
The
Been
season's
happier
been
these days. He's been happier these days, which makes me happy.
Do we think we're going to see at some point a big resurgence in pre-recorded content?
Fucking hope so.
I'm kind of thinking, but I hope so. But at the same time,
I don't think it will.
however
but
the
I
content is
really
made,
want it to be.
as long as it's good content.
The thing about game theory is that it was, well, I can't even say just game theory. The thing about his channels altogether is that he put a lot of time and effort into whatever he was talking about. He made sure that even if he was wrong, he backed up almost everything he said. So he had strong evidence for whatever he was talking about. There was a big issue he had, there was judgment he got for saying that Sans from Undertale was Ness. Which, if you go back and watch the theory again, he still backs it up. It's blatantly wrong. He's fucking around. But he puts emotion behind it. He backs it up with evidence. He spends so much time explaining it in a way that makes it real. It makes it to where it's not just him in a corner ranting for 20 minutes. It's, hey, you've got this, 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 and this. That's why. End of discussion. It still leaves it open-ended, but it lets him be decisive. I think it gives him, I want to say power.
Influence.
Influence is a
That's
good
a
way to
good
put
word.
it. Yeah,
That's a good word.
Word of the day, influence.
absolutely.
They're all influencers. At the end of the day, all online media is made to
Absolutely.
influence. in one way.
Absolutely.
It's all propaganda. Never mind. I'll take my tinfoil hat off. Put it
I'll
over there.
take it. I'll take it back.
Thanks.
I am curious because, so for those who are super unaware, Twitch is it's always been in a limbo land. Twitch doesn't actually make a lot of money.
No.
In fact,
No.
I think it just loses Amazon money.
Yeah.
But they get so much popularity, so much,
But at some point, they're going to have to figure out how to make it profitable.
yeah.
I know there was a lot of talk about a year ago now, ish, where there was a lot of Twitch streamers ready to jump ship to only stream on YouTube.
Mhm.
Because
And some of them did.
Yep. Because of the percentage taking that Twitch did from their own subscriptions, donations, and things like that within the platform. So not only are they not like making a lot of money, they were doing that while also not paying their content creators very well. What saved them for the time being, I think, is the allowance that even if you're partnered with Twitch, you can still co-stream to YouTube. Because now, when I go on YouTube at 4 p.m. and go into my subscription box at the top, it's Flats, Emong, J3, ML7, and all of their active streams, also on 2 different channels. ML7 streams to not only his main channel, but also his second channel, the same stream, that is also live on Twitch. So they have an increasingly amount of chances to be seen by their audience. I think that's going to keep them afloat for a while, because why wouldn't content creators also stream to Twitch if they can also stream to YouTube? If they have the option, it's just more opportunities equals probably more money at the end of the day. But I think that's going to keep them afloat for a while, as long as they can figure out how to start making money.
That's
Which
all,
is something
that's their
that-
job.
Which, I mean, the other thing is that YouTube's still figuring out how to do that. I mean, there's a reason why the number of ads on the platform has grown exponentially.
Well, and I think too, this might be just user error. The system of Twitch being able to subscribe, like, follow, donate is easier. It's more user friendly. You know what's going on Twitch because it's designed to that way, but it also could just be I'm familiar with Twitch. I think YouTube
Yes and no.
streams are boring in terms of their interface and don't make a lot of sense in terms of donation and monetary things. But that also, like I said, could be user error and experience.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I just
Yeah,
the
experience, I
the
think.
overhead cost.
I
for
I
the
feel I
platform
feel the
is-
opposite with Twitch and YouTube. I feel like I get it more with YouTube. I'm so lost on Twitch.
Well,
Yeah.
Twitch has its own culture at this point. I mean,
It does.
but I mean, we've also seen not too long ago how expensive these types of endeavors are. Look at Mixer; it doesn't exist anymore. Microsoft shut them down. Why they shut them down? Because it just wasn't going to make them any money, and they knew it. So I think that there is a chance that we'll come back to pre-recorded content, but only because maybe Twitch stops saying, "Hey, everybody can stream." It has to be, "Oh, well, only our partners can stream," or something like that, because the overhead cost is just too high.
I'm not always good with the logistics, but
Yeah.
that is a good part of why platforms exist, is to try to make money.
That's the only reason platforms exist, is to make
Yeah.
money.
So I get it, but
Zach, do you know off the top of your head, is YouTube, or I guess there might be their parent companies, but is YouTube or Twitch publicly traded?
Alphabet is publicly traded. Amazon is publicly traded.
So okay, so they both are under there.
Mhm.
So, to be honest, as long as the parent company is making money and they see enough advantageous reasons to keep those platforms running, they will.
Possibly.
I
I
should
mean,
have done.
Amazon.
I just wrote a 9-page paper about
I knew it was
financial
coming.
reports. I should have done it on these companies, but God help me if I would have sat through Amazon's 10K.
Yeah.
End of rant.
Salute you
Amazon's
for
one that
trying.
I don't see Amazon lightly killing off Twitch, because Amazon likes to try and push boundaries, and Amazon really not only likes to try and push boundaries, but they like to try and keep it going. So like Prime Video is a good example. Prime Video when it came out was not very popular. But a lot of people got it because the Amazon Prime's worth it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's worked out pretty well for them. I know people at this point who have Prime just so they can watch Prime Video. YouTube, on the other hand,
Jeffrey
YouTube has a
Bezos. It was less than 6 seconds. Don't worry about it.
good. Be still my heart. YouTube, on the other hand, though, Alphabet has a long and colorful history of spontaneously just shutting things down.
Yeah.
What was it? Stadia. Google Stadia.
The hell is
They-
that?
It was their live gaming streaming. So you'd buy a controller, and then they'd have a whole library of videos of games that you could play. Think like Xbox Live or Game Pass. And it wasn't ridiculous. It was, I think it was like $15 a month or $20 a month.
You're lying. That doesn't exist.
Not anymore,
Not
because
anymore.
literally one day, literally within the span of a few days, it went from they were announcing new content to we're shutting down at the end of the month. We're no longer a service.
It sounds like it was an advertising thing because I don't even remember hearing about that. Maybe they didn't push it much.
I remember
I
the
might have
logo. The logo, I remember. Oh, it went on your phone?
You could play it on your phone as well.
What was
Oh
it
my
called?
god, you could play
Stadia.
You could play Red Dead Redemption 2 on your phone.
What was it called?
Graphics would have been shit.
It was rendered on their machines, so it would just
Really?
stream it to you.
Stadia. Stadia. Google Stadia.
And I may just be more
Available.
in that knowledge base because I'm a little heavy on the tech side, because there is still NVIDIA had a service. I think they shut it down.
Okay, that I know. That
And
I heard.
then there's another company who's a third party who was developing this before both of them, who I think is still around. But like the idea of game streaming basically telling people you don't have to go buy your own hardware. You can just have it streamed to whatever device you're currently using it and use it as a thin client was going to seem like it was the next move. But Google clearly
PC
didn't want to see that
Master
through.
Race. Rise up.
We're gonna do a build a PC at some point.
I'm just here to have people tell me interesting things while making me laugh. That's what I'm here for.
How's our Discord?
The games
working
are secondary.
for that.
That's everything else is extra. I spoke of it earlier. The guy that I watch on Game Theory, the one that I was disappointed left, was Austin. He hosted a segment called The Science. I didn't give a shit about the games he covered, but the way he talked about it made me care about those games. So I don't give a shit about any of these companies. I don't care about any of the money. If he had his own channel where he sat in a corner and rambled for 2 hours, I would listen to that channel constantly. That's all I want. That's my dream right there. That's
The personalities.
if I
Definitely.
if I hit it big and become like a billionaire times whatever in the next coming days, you'll know, because that man will have a job and he won't be leaving anytime soon.
Hey, if you become a billionaire, can I also retire at 37?
Yeah, really.
We're gonna wait until 37.
Or 24.
You gotta leave a
Turn
winner.
24 in
I
4
could
days.
shoot for
That
37.
could be my early birthday present.
Maybe we can start divvying out. We have our
Mhm.
Discord
I
retirement
should have
fund. We can
known.
start placing them on
As soon
different
as I
people.
talked about it,
401ks
the
for
money
everyone.
became real.
Bandito, don't worry. I learned a lot this semester about how to invest your money to make it worth more tomorrow. We can talk.
Schrodinger's millionaire.
I know enough to be dangerous, but not enough to be smart.
Yeah. Dangerous can go one of two ways. You can have
I
a lot
don't
of
know
money
these
or none at all
people
by the end of the day.
legally,
Flip
and
a coin.
for the record, in case anything happens, I don't know them.
I'm
Just
like
to,
a third of the way through my MBA degree. We'll be fine. Basically a professional.
I almost had to have a conversation with Bernie Madoff, but that'll be a discussion for a different day. um, let's just wrap up our conversation and just if you had something that you could actually go to one of these content creators who is leaving and you could say to them, what would you say?
Thank you
That's a good one. Thank you.
for all the memories and the nostalgia and the comfort videos and the company when I'm trying to go to bed and I can't sleep without noise.
Same.
Oh yeah, the well, words. Sorry. The creators definitely felt it. All of them that we've mentioned definitely helped shape a lot of my personality, a lot of my humor, a lot of my jokes. As I said, Ray lives rent free in my head. The whistle goes woo.
Fuck train has no brakes.
YOLO! All of it. It stays in my brain forever. And
I didn't even realize I still say that because of him.
which the
YOLO.
train has no brakes. Oh, YOLO! YOLO.
Good lord. Bandito, we're in a chat with millennials.
Right? Fucking old people.
Let me go dig my fucking grave.
See ya.
I'm that old now.
Bandito, what about you?
But that's just a theory.
Oh god.
Because it would hit him just as hard as it would hit me. I'd twist that fucking knife.
Child of chaos, as always.
He's learned from the best, as you can tell.
And it torments me every day.
But yeah.
Definitely didn't rage
It
quit
would-
the chat last night.
I would not.
I missed something.
I would not be who I am today had it not been for MatPat and a few others. I don't think thank you survived. No, lost the word.
Suffices.
Yep, that, sure. I don't think it encompasses that enough.
I think same as Knox, I'd say thank you for keeping me company while I tried to sleep because white noise is nice. I'd also say thank you for making me feel excited and not alone at points when maybe I needed something more. And yeah, it's that parasocial relationship that's not actually a friendship, but it really helped at that time. And I'm gonna miss Rooster Teeth.
There are aspects I'm definitely gonna miss more than others, but as a whole,
for sure.
it's gonna be kind of weird thinking like, what have they been up to? Oh, they aren't doing anything. They're not up to anything anymore. And I think once that realization dawns, I think that's when I'll actually start like really feeling it. Right now, it's more just like a shock to the senses. Like, we'll see how it goes. It can't be that bad. I'm always the optimist, so. But it's gonna hit me harder later.
That raises the question: is that going to be better or worse than like game theory is gonna keep going, film theory is gonna keep going. Rooster Teeth's done. They're over. Is that better or worse?
I think
it can't be tarnished. It's where it is now.
I think the issue is that it has been tarnished in some ways, and it's probably better that it goes now before it gets more
worse.
If there's growth still to be made in a creator, a channel, then I think they should stick around. If there's not much growth going on anymore, if there is a stagnant feeling, which I think a lot of people who watched Rooster Teeth started to feel that like it was kind of at that dead end. It still wanted to keep plugging along, but ultimately that's one of the reasons it shut down. It wasn't doing much more anymore. So it's a little bit of a balance. If there's more growth to be made, why stop it? Even if one person's stepping down, a channel doesn't necessarily have to be one person. Granted, with parasocial relationships, I understand too. I love MatPat. I'm gonna miss him over on the Game Theory channel, but I'm actually really curious and excited to see what he approves of as the next chapter, because he's gonna definitely have say.
Oh yeah,
I did have one
absolutely.
last thing I really wanted to mention before I completely forget. I'm curious what's going to happen with slow-mo guys.
I didn't think they were affiliated, are they? Did they become
Technically,
affiliated
Rooster
with them?
Teeth owns them.
I didn't.
Gone, obliterated.
No, well, they were
Out
also
to the
kind of at a
pasture.
snapping point.
The
How
gold
many
yellers.
things-
They're gonna go upstate to a farm.
I'd have to feel that Gavin
No
wouldn't have
fields
signed it
to
over in
run.
its entirety without
You'll see
an
him
amount of say.
someday.
Yeah, when you're older.
What'd you
But
say?
I'm sure I'd have a feeling that Gavin wouldn't sign that away freely. No pun intended.
But at the same time, is there anything else they could do? Gavin might be at a point where he's, especially with some of the stuff he's had to deal with, being an online personality,
Yeah.
he might be also done. And Dan's doing his own thing. Dan the man's doing his own thing.
Dan's been in his own little world. for a
Hashtag Dan the
while.
man. It's another reason. Sorry.
I will be
Old
curious
people.
though. Slow-mo guys
Yeah.
isn't that old.
Old people.
Like,
Old
wasn't the
people.
big
It's an old
balloon in
channel, but like they've
2012?
been successful up through now.
You
I've
could say that about a
never
lot
heard
of
of them,
channels.
to be
That,
really honest.
oh,
I
well
still
then.
get their video. Their video is still close to front page, if not.
Last video I watched of them was the one they had with Will Smith. It was it. They had Will Smith on their channel. I watched it and went, cool. Never watched them again. Not because I got bad, just I drifted off.
And it does happen. Let's move on to our real world segment. This is
Okay.
where we talk about things outside of our internet lives. These are, movies we're watching, books we're reading, TV shows, music we're listening to, things that aren't necessarily related to video games, even though sometimes they are. Bandito.
This is the one time that I'm not actively prepared for something. So I've been kind of all over the place. I have been collecting a lot more manga than I thought I'd be. A good group of books. I have a playlist that I'm slowly evolving. I'm gonna keep going. I'm getting what I want. I don't know if you can quite see it in the background. We're just gonna shimmy our way over. I collect vinyls now.
Oh,
Good choice.
Woo!
You just turned yourself into a millennial with one sentence.
Right?
Congratulations.
Oh, absolutely.
It's to the point where I have an artist that I'm looking for that has special made vinyls, and I'm waiting for them to go out again. I'm waiting for it. Musical Miracle. Miracle Musical, apologies. They have an album called Hawaii Part 2 that is phenomenal. They have sold like under 100 vinyls, and I want one.
I made a noise, so I have to clarify. Bandito, why do you collect vinyls?
They're pretty.
Which I think is a great reason.
They look
Absolutely.
really good where they are. I like the
Aesthetic is just
idea of
valid
having it
reason.
physical. Of it's mine. You can't take that from me. That won't. I lose an account and it's gone forever.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be with me until I decide to give it away or it breaks. It's mine. So if I start collecting like specific people that I like, I'll always know at one point I liked them enough to get a vinyl of it. So
And before somebody runs into the comment section, I think collecting them for sound quality, I don't agree, but I think it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's the people who collect them just to be like, I have it.
it's pretty. It looks so good.
I have it. It's pretty.
sounds
It's
so
fine.
good.
But people who are just like, I just collect vinyl. That is my personality, and I don't do it for any particular reason. Do you have a record player? No.
Yeah, see, that's just weird.
Yeah.
I have to play them at least once so that like I've listened to it. Every album that I have heard it, if not multiple times. I usually use it as soft background music whenever I'm doing something. Like if I'm reading, if I'm cleaning, I'll have it going on in the background just as something to focus on. It's nice. It's nice.
What do you got?
Next.
Mhm. Who?
I said Knox.
Oh, okay.
I didn't catch that. Either.
Okay, cool. Take a breath. Take a breather. I can jump in if you need a minute.
If you saw my red eyes when we started recording today, it's because I was about 2 minutes out from finishing the Throne of Glass series. It took me 10 years to read the tandem read. Took me about a week and a half to read this motherfucker, Kingdom of Ash, which is the finale to Throne of Glass. And I'm glad to say that nothing will have to be bleeped in terms of SJM this week. I'm not upset. I'm not even disappointed. But I'm sad. Especially because with this, all of her other series that I've read, so Crescent City, ACOTAR, don't have a definitive end yet. They're still currently being written. They're still currently being evolved. This book came out in 2018, and there has yet to be another iteration with these characters. And knowing that this will be the last time that I get to spend any new content with them is really sad. They've grown into my favorite SJM characters, and I love them dearly. And it was such a great story, and this is such a great book. But I was really sad, and I sobbed. So, on a happier note, it's Crescent City 3 time! I'm going to start that tomorrow. I'm going on a fun little vacation in the next week. I will be on a beach somewhere in an undisclosed location, and I will have a book in front of me for 6 days straight. So it'll be great. Caramel, your turn before I start crying again.
Totally fair. And honestly, that sounds like a dream. But as of right now, I'm not reading too much. I know me and Crash are finishing up Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which, funny enough, is on Amazon Prime, the Prime Video. Also on Prime Video, which I am now starting back up. I stopped, and I'm going back on it. Has-Been Hotel. I watched that on YouTube when it first came out. I know they made some significant changes, and I think maybe that's like a part of me that had to adjust to those changes, which is fair. It's usually what happens when it changes platforms. But the music has been so good, so I'm gonna just dive in and watch all of it now. I'm just gonna binge watch it one of these days. Literally, like either today or tomorrow or the day after. That's all I have going on right now.
What do you got, Zach?
Oh, goodness. I just finished an SJM book. I finished Court of Mist and Fury. I read that in 4 days. At some point, I'm going to have to go read the third.
Can we agree? Can we agree on something?
Yes.
People who liked ACOTAR. Bandito. People who didn't like ACOTAR. Zach.
Hi.
We all like Court of Mist and Fury.
Yes. Gosh.
Thank you.
If anything happened to Rhysand, I would get violent.
He died. I have no idea. I'm just.
I got some bad news for you. I haven't spoiled anything for you.
I have no idea. If it's a spoiler, it's completely unintentional. I know nothing.
Oh, I'm sorry, Zach. I know it's your turn. I'd like to amend one statement.
Yes.
SJM is playing 4D chess, and we're just here living in it. So please read the books.
I did enjoy the second one. It got over a lot of my gripes, particularly how quickly the first one moved.
Big
things
strong
happened.
Man.
No, just things
Why
happened.
more?
Things happened.
Which was more than I could say about,
Didn't happen?
I can name what happened in
And
like the first
everything
40 to
happened.
50 pages of ACOTAR.
Aliens.
And then I had like one big event. And other than that, the first 200 pages, it was just like...
What, you don't remember the sex festival?
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
I'm so serious. Caramel, it's not a joke either.
It's not a joke.
It was a calamari.
Yeah, calamari.
Calamari. No squid involved.
Yeah, it's not
That's
calamari.
No, that attitude.
Hi, it's squid.
Yeah, Calvin.
Roller Skate 3 all over again. What the hell?
Yeah, right.
Oh God. There's that achievement.
That is an achievement.
I have it.
I think everybody here has it.
Yep. I got 3 I'm missing. I'm still hunting them. Achievement hunting.
Except me,
Even
only
now.
because I don't have the game.
Well,
Coward.
You want to give me some money?
I see. I would love to do
right.
that. And had it been like 2 months ago, I probably would have.
No, but you have a Lego Venator that says otherwise.
And you know what? She's gorgeous. You happen to notice right here. She's beautiful. Overlooks the entire room. If I could have a glass table, she would be the centerpiece. And I stand by it. I would go into debt thousands of dollars to get her again if I needed to, okay? It was worth it.
We are running over time.
Yeah, a little bit. I guess I'll
But-
just wrap up and say I started a new book.
Yeah.
It's called Every Tool's a Hammer. It's by Adam Savage, who's one of the Mythbusters. And I am 3 chapters in. Really enjoying it. It's a lot about doing creative endeavors and how to do them and good ways to do them and methodology and thought processes. Literally read a whole chapter on lists and has completely changed how I feel about lists. The chapter after that was about check marks and why
Good.
they're actually the best.
oh my god.
It
that's so
sounds
funny.
really not interesting, but he has great ways of actually breaking it down and explaining why it's a good thing and why it's something that you should.
I just want my fairies and my dragons. And my
Look,
castles.
sometimes some of us have to take a break from.
No,
But Zach, big strong man.
I've been
Big
reading Big
strong
Strong Man content for
Nice
6
to
months.
me.
I'm
Tiny,
not
it's
letting up.
ultimate comedy. It doesn't even have
I'm
big strong
sorry,
woman,
comics.
big strong man. Doesn't matter. Nice to me.
Nice to me.
Nice to me.
Nice.
Oh my god, dude, you're gonna
Or-
hurt my feelings.
Thank you.
That's nice.
It's bald.
Is it this nice?
It's
One of these.
bald.
No, one of them's nice.
Okay. All right. Thank you
Sorry,
to
my sound
everyone.
meter's a little rusty.
Thank you. So is mine. Thank you to everyone for joining us. We hope you enjoyed our discussion today. We release these episodes weekly, but if that's not often enough for you, we're often available in the Snowflake Sanctuary Discord server. If you want to offer your own insight, have any ideas for what you want to hear, or just think that we sound like a cool group of people to be around, then click the link in the description. It'll take you right to us. If you're watching us on YouTube, come over to any of our streaming platforms for Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you can find podcasts. We're there. If you found us on one of those podcast platforms, welcome. Come see our beautiful faces on YouTube, or Bandito staring at you menacingly right now. Yeah, it's
Gotta have
cool.
my main
It's a good
character.
time. You never did. Thanks again to Bandito and Caramel for joining us this evening, and thank you to you for listening to us, and we hope to see you in the next one.
Doing this again.
I hate you, Zachary.
Come on, Zach.
Form!
Stick
got
your
it.
hand up.
You've
This
got
is the
to.
thing. This is the thing we're
It's a
doing.
thing
I've
now.
done it every episode. It's a thing now. It's
We're
a
not
thing
good
now.
at
Jazz
influencers.
hands.
I can do it one-handed.
No.
No, not the wording we want.
Give me a second, gotta write that down. Hold on, gotta write that down.